Welcome to another Big Tyme Journey. Welcome to Lost. You ever felt lost? Now, we've discussed loneliness, what it feels to be isolated, to feel alone, to feel distance from everything, even surrounded in a room. We've talked about loneliness, but have we ever felt about being lost? Have you ever just felt like you were totally lost in this world? You didn't have a direction, you didn't have a purpose, you didn't have a sense of really anything. You just woke up and existed. You just woke up, feeling completely lost inside. Lost in everything. Everything seems like a strange place. Strange feeling. It feels like you've stepped into a movie scene and that the reality around you is not your life. It's not your reality. You're just lost. You float around trying to figure out where you should be, knowing you should be doing something, but what is that something? We have small tidbits of things that we're good at, things that make us us, things that make us special, things that make us unique, but even with the understanding of those things, we still seem to be lost because we don't know how to get there. We don't know how to achieve that dream, or that step, or that process, or that way. It's just being lost. It's being completely and utterly lost. Waking up and trying to figure out how to get out of bed because it seems like there's no purpose. You get up, you do your morning routine, you go about your business. Maybe you go to work and put in a job, and maybe you sit there at work, slaving away for somebody, serving somebody, working. Maybe you're happy with it, maybe you sort of enjoy it, but there's still this pit in you that says you're lost. Maybe you go home and surround yourself with family, and you're surrounded by people that you know love you, and you love them, but you still feel disconnected. You still feel like an outsider looking into a bubble. What is your life? Not believing that is your life because you're just lost. You're just here in existence. It doesn't feel like reality. That doesn't seem to be true. It just seems to be what it be. What is lost? How do we become so lost? How do we get so lost in these crazy places, in these crazy ways, in these crazy times when we're right there? We're on the life that we are building. We should know where we're going. We should know what we're doing, but we're lost. Completely lost. Looking back going, we should have done something different. Looking back saying, we should have done this. We should have done that. What if I would have done this, and what if I would have done that? Would I be here or would I be there? How have I not been better in my life? How have I not been successful in my life? How have I not moved forward and gained in my life? How am I still in places that I just don't understand that I'm in? How do I keep repeating mistakes that I don't ever want to repeat? Why is the cycle the same and the same and the same? Why is it all completely insanity? Have you ever just felt lost? Have you ever just woken up and just felt like you didn't belong, you just shouldn't be? Not in the existence of like you shouldn't be alive, but you just shouldn't be here. In this place, in this moment in time, in this reality. You wish the multiverse was real and that you could just jump back into the reality that you're supposed to be in, that makes sense for you, and not the reality that you're in that you don't know how got it so out of control. It spiraled all of a sudden. It just rushed past you in a blur. Life is gone and time is ticking and everything's going faster as the world keeps spinning and you're lost. You go through steps, you go through motions, you live and you do what you need to do, but still yet, here you are, lost. Maybe at one point you thought your life served a purpose and you were headed in the direction to fulfill that purpose and to fulfill that journey. Then all of a sudden life changed courses and you were over here doing for others instead of doing for you. And then you should come to that position, that place, that time. You were doing for others, not doing for you. And you accepted it because you're a giver and you want to do for others, because doing for others means more than doing for yourself. But then again, you lose yourself in doing for others when you don't do for yourself, and then you become trapped and snared into the same reality of not moving. See, this is the state of loss that we get trapped in. We are physically moving, we're physically existing, we're physically doing things. But internally, mentally, emotionally, religiously, whatever tag you want to put to that, you're not moving. You're stagnant, you're stuck, you're lost. You're lost because you don't have a direction in the spiritual, emotional, mental realm to figure out what is next. You're just lost. You're just going through the emotions, accepting what is. Maybe you're married to somebody and you're looking at them and you love them. You love them. I'm not saying you don't, but maybe you love them, but you don't feel love for them at times. Maybe you're like, this is not the person I should be with. This is not my happy place. This is not who I should be around, but you accept it because you've gotten here and you accept the reality as it is because the what ifs are greater than the what ifs. The unknown is a greater fear than being lost. Staying stagnant, staying in place is okay because if we try something different, it may cost us something. And that something has a price, has a value. Whether it's monetary or emotional, mental, spiritual, it has a price. You're married and you're living in a relationship that you feel stuck and trapped in. You're looking at the person you're married to, you're going, I love them, but I don't know if they're one I should be with. They don't fulfill me. I'm just lost, I'm just stagnant, I'm just stuck, I'm just here. But if I leave them, if I take these steps that are telling me I should leave them because I'm unhappy, I don't feel happy because they don't make me happy, I don't feel complete, I'm just lost, I'm stuck. If you leave them, then what? Then what do? You become so existent, so connected, so dependent on them that if anything were to happen, you'd be without. Maybe you're a parent to kids and your kids are disconnected from you. Or maybe you feel disconnected from them. You love your kids. There's not anything wrong with you. You love them and you want to love them, but you don't know how to connect with them. You don't know how to reach out to them. You don't know how to connect on a level to them to understand that you're there and you feel lost. You feel disconnected. You feel alone. You feel isolated. You feel stuck. You're wondering if you're even a good parent in the first place. Maybe everything you've done as a parent has been wrong. Maybe you made every mistake and you just weren't that good of a parent because you're so stuck. You're so unhappy. You're so miserable. You're just here. You're lost. You're completely, utterly lost in so many ways that it's almost insane. And then your brain starts working and the voices in your head say, yeah, you're lost. You're crazy. You're no good. What are you doing? You're a failure. You failed. You failed. You failed. And then you become subjected to those voices and you start believing those voices because they become louder than the voices that are surrounding you because you're so consumed into the ability of being lost and understanding the world outside you. You get lost so easily. Why is it lost? I mean, we're talking about being trapped and talking about being still, but we're lost. We're lost from the way. We're lost from where we should be. We're lost from where we're supposed to be going. How do we get unlost, right? How do we get found? How do we find ourselves? How do we reconnect? How do we reconnect to the world, to the life that we should be having, or the life that we do have? How do we reconnect? How do we figure out what the right answers and the way of it is to be? Some of us are great givers, and some of us give all, and some of us put our sides aside to give to others and forget to give to ourselves, even though in the blessing of giving we feel like we've done something for ourselves. Because happiness is bought through others, but really is that true when we're not making sure we're happy? What happens when we're in that place where we're giving and we're giving and we're giving and we're giving, but we're not getting anything back, and then we're sitting there going, we're just miserable and happy, but we're so stuck in the giving that all we do is give. When do we stand back and go, what does life mean? What is the meaning of our life? What is the purpose of our life? What are we supposed to achieve? What about the lonely man or the lonely woman? The one that's lost in this world that doesn't have a partner, that's searching for that connection, that soulmate. That absolutely endearing and dying love that should exist for all of us. Some of us have given up hope on that, just assuming that it's never going to be happening because we're just not going to find anyone because we're just not good enough for anyone. Because we put the blame on ourselves because it's got to be something with us, not everybody else. We're not good enough. And we get lost in this idea, this ideology that we're not good enough. We get lost in the thought pattern. And we bury ourselves behind everything else and we push our energies into different places. But then we're lost. We can wake up one day and we realize this is my life. I'm living here in this place. Sometimes it's places that we didn't even mean to get to. It's just places that just happened by circumstance. It just came along. It's just where we evolved to. Our lives spun out of control because of choices of others, and the next thing we know, we're here. And we feel stagnant. We feel stuck. We feel the inability to free ourselves from the chains that have bound us. We feel lost. We feel lost because we feel powerless. We feel powerless because we put ourselves in a place that we never meant to get into, but now we don't know how to get out of it. Because there's no directions, there's no map. We're lost in the maze of life, trying to figure out which way to go, and every time we turn a corner, it seems to be the wrong corner. We back out, we repeat, and we find ourselves going in these circles back to the same square, to the same place, to the same corner. With no future, no endeavors, no place to go. It just seems like a never-ending cycle of movement. And on again, it just keeps coming. We're lost. Well, how do we become unlost? How do we get out of our lost? Maybe sometimes it takes just admitting that we're lost and accepting that we are actually lost, that we're not in the place we want to be, and that we need to make changes for ourselves. Sometimes we have to step up and go, what can we do to make this better? What can we do to make this right? How do we get back on the track of the place, the direction we want to be, instead of being here in this place, in this time, doing this? How do I go from just existing to being me? Because the biggest key about being lost is trying to find yourself again, because once you find yourself, then you can find your center. Once you find your center, you can find that peace. And with that peace, you can move forward. You can fix a lot of the things that are wrong. Maybe it's finding yourself in that relationship that you're in that feels hopeless. Feels like your partner's checked out and you're here giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving. You're getting nothing back. Maybe you have to find that center and find that energy to bring the balance, to find that peace, so you know how to give and take. Maybe they are giving in their own way, but at the same time, maybe they've given up because you're not receiving it, because you feel so lost, so hopeless, so rejected, that you can't even take love. See, that's what happens when we become lost. We become lost, we become detached. When we become so detached, we become self-consumed to the voices, to the thoughts that we're not good enough, we're not strong enough, we're not lovable. We weren't meant to be loved or have love. That when we get love, we don't know how to accept it, so we reject it, even if it's a silent rejection. Rejection doesn't necessarily mean it has to have a response. Rejection can simply just be ignoring it. But when we start loving ourselves and finding ourselves and getting ourselves out of the hole that we got ourselves into in the way of getting out of the loss, finding ourselves is the key to understanding that we are worthy. We are beautiful people. We are beautiful creations in this world. We exist for a purpose that's greater than us, whatever that purpose may be. We may not always understand it, but finding that purpose or any purpose that can fulfill that purpose to make us whole, to find centeredness, to make ourselves happy, to remember we have to go back and take care of us. See, we can't change anybody. Everybody out there is who they are. We can only give them guidance. We can only give them options. We can only give them choices. We can only tell them how we feel. But it is up to that person to change if they choose to change. And the only person that's going to change that person is that person. As much as the only person who can change us, it's us, it's we, it's I. So to be unlost, you have to change yourself from listening to the voices, to accepting negativity, to being consumed in the darkness by the loneliness, and by being the loneliness and the lost feeling. Maybe it's sometimes finding forgiveness for whatever caused the pain. Sometimes it's letting go of the hate. Sometimes it's letting go of the pride and admitting that you need help in finding a way out. Sometimes it's putting aside the pride and realizing that you need to love yourself, even if you want to give to everybody else and do for everybody else. And this is what makes you happy. It's still at some point you have to admit through your pride that you can't help everybody. And if you're not helping yourself, or you're really helping anyone, or it's an act in a show. When do we become unlost? When do we find our way out? When we learn to love ourselves, learn to accept ourselves as we are, find the beauty of ourselves inside ourselves, and know that we are a beautiful person, and truly believe it, not just say it, but believe it. Believe it and make it a reality. Because once you make it a reality, once you accept it as truth, you'll be able to get out of bed easier. You'll want to get out of bed because it's going to be a brand new day, and you're going to be ready to celebrate that day, because every day is going to be more glorious. And I don't mean glorious in the religious sense. I'm just saying it's going to be glorious because glorious is the day when we positively put that effort in to believing in ourselves and loving ourselves, and we love ourselves, then we're going to find love being right there. We love ourselves, and our kids will know that we love them, and they'll give us love back, and we'll be able to accept that love. Our partners will see our love. Now, are they all going to stay? No. And that's a hard truth we're going to have to accept. Sometimes we have to come out of loneliness. We have to come out of loss. We got to come out of not loving ourselves and loving ourselves to see the person we put ourselves with on the other side and realize this isn't the person I should be with. For a multitude of reasons. For many, many, many reasons, we may realize this is not the person for us. They may have sucked you dry. They may have sucked you dry, leaving you in that lost place. They may have been the driving nail that took you to that place. And it's not just a partner, that could be a kid, or that could be a parent. And I'm not saying you can abandon a parent or abandon a kid, but sometimes you have to realize they're sucking me dry, and I have to love myself, not allow them to do that. You have to find a different way to deal with them, a different way to process with them, a different way to work within the boundaries. You have to create those boundaries for yourself so people don't suck you dry, don't take you, and don't abuse you, and don't take advantage of who you are. So you don't become lost. There is a way out. Will the road out be easy? No. It's easier to get in than it is to get out, and that is life, and we know that is life. That is with most things. It's easier to get to the place than it is to get out. So many times we find ourselves like this. So many times in life, we can get into a pitfall. But getting out of that pitfall can be very hard. I mean, let's talk about an addict who becomes lost. They become lost and consumed with their addiction. And addiction can be anything. Addiction can be addicted to anything. It was real easy to get into that addiction. It was easy to become consumed with that addiction. But getting out of that addiction, accepting that you have that addiction, recovering from that addiction, and managing that addiction, so much harder than it was to ever get into the addiction. Loving yourself and getting unlost, finding your way out, it's not going to be easier than what it was when you got into it, because it's easy to become lost because we become consumed. We let a couple thoughts grow and fester in our brain, and then we start getting into darker places, and we just start believing and accepting that what is what our voices are telling us, what we keep hearing repeatedly. And sometimes those are voices of the people around you. And we don't want to accept it because we love the people we're around, or the people that we're around, or the people that we want to be around, or we think we need to be around these people, even though they're not the people we should be surrounding ourselves, because they're not bringing the positive energy. They're not bringing energy that lifts us up. They're bringing the energy that's sucking our energy. They're taking the energy we have to consume to lift themselves up. And then we're drowning in a pit of sorrow. We're drowning in the depths of darkness. We are finding ourselves completely and utterly lost with no way out. And we're at the edge of despair. And the darkest hours are ticking by. But we can become unlost when we understand there's a way out. There's always a way out. There's always been a way out. There will always be a way out. But we got to learn us. We got to learn who we are and accept who we are and love who we are and accept who we are and how we got here. We got to accept the things that we may have not done right. We got to accept our imperfections. We have to accept who we are and love ourselves for every imperfection, every scar, outside and in. Some of those scars we still have to heal. Some of those scars we still have to mend. Some of those scars we have to forgive ourselves. Some of those scars we have to forgive ourselves and then create the ability to forgive others. Forgiveness is not always, like I've said, we had this whole talk about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not only a thing that you're giving. Forgiveness is a thing that you're taking because you have to forgive yourself. The greatest thing about forgiveness is freeing yourself. Because a lot of times in forgiveness, other people will not let you be forgiven. They won't forgive you. So you have to find it in yourself that you've sought forgiveness, you've offered forgiveness, and you found forgiveness, and forgive yourself to free you of that, or that it's just going to hold you back. Forgive yourself for what might have to come. Forgive yourself for being in a situation that just never worked out and it was just bad in the beginning, and now you got to get out and it's going to hurt other people if it really hurts them. And that's a different story for a different time in a different place. You want to learn about forgiveness? Go to my video about forgiveness. You want to talk about hate? You want to talk about pride? You want to talk about love and loneliness? I got all those videos here. But tonight it's lost, being lost. We talked a little bit about lost. We can so easily get lost, and getting out of being lost concept. It's a way. If you're lost, there's a way out. If you're lost, there's hope. If you feel lost, if you're hearing my voice and you feel lost, if you found these videos by whatever means, then thank you for being here. But if you feel lost, there's a way out. What that way out, I don't know for sure. I don't know what your way out may be. Everybody's way out is different. Everybody's way out is mapped for them. There's a way out. There's a light. There's an end. You can find your way out, but it's accepting you. You have to look within, get out. This has been the Big Tyme Journey. This is Lost. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to me. If you like this, please give it a like. Share this video with anybody that you feel may be feeling this, and that may be lost, or share it out with anybody who might feel touched, or somebody who might understand, or somebody that you might be lost and you're looking for somebody to help you. You don't know how to explain it. Maybe this is what you do to get somebody to understand you feel lost. I know I don't record on a regular. A lot of this is internal. A lot of this is sharing. So it's a hard place to get to sometimes. But until the next one, this is the Big Tyme Journey. I thank you for being here.